Imagine a powerful machine, created with precision and care. This machine is not just any machine. It can run, jump, dance, and it never seems to stop. But, like any machine, it needs something special to keep running: fuel. And the fuel for this machine is food. Now, imagine that this machine is your body. When you feel hungry, it's as if your body is turning on a light, just like a car when the tank is almost empty, saying, "Hey, time to refuel." God planned everything perfectly, giving you this natural alert to ensure you always have the energy you need to do what you love most, whether it's playing, studying, or running. Food not only satisfies hunger, it gives the body the strength to get through the day, just like gasoline keeps a car running on the road. It's part of a perfect balance in nature. You eat, gain energy, and keep living, creating, and exploring. But then comes the question, why would someone choose not to eat? Nowadays, we are used to eating 3 times a day. And who hasn't heard that breakfast is the most important meal, the fuel that gives that little boost early in the morning so that the day starts with full energy? This story of how we take care of our bodies shows just how amazing and delicate the system is that keeps us always moving. But first, make sure you're subscribed to the channel. A story that begins from when we were little. Remember how our parents and teachers always told us that eating properly would make us strong and healthy? And that exercising was important to make us even stronger? We learned that having 3 meals a day is like giving our body the energy it needs, as if we were refueling a car to keep it going. But over time, you may have noticed that some people choose not to eat. That might seem strange, right? After all, we were taught to never skip meals. In the world, this practice of controlling food intake is called a diet. Many do it to lose weight or for health reasons. However, there is another type of choice not to eat, one that comes from a spiritual desire. It's what the Bible calls fasting. Fasting is different because it's not done to change the body, but to strengthen the spirit. It's when a person decides to stop eating for a while to focus on something deeper, their relationship with God. Now, think of an ancient custom of the Jewish people, back in the Old Testament. Once a year, God asked that they all fast. In Leviticus 16 verse 29, it is written that on the 10th day of the 7th month, everyone, both natives of the land and foreigners living among them, should stop eating and rest. This day became known as Yom Kippur, the Day of Atonement. But why did everyone fast on that day? The reason was very special. God wanted that day to be dedicated to reflection, so that everyone could remember the importance of forgiveness and salvation. It was a solemn moment when people stepped away from their routine and food to focus on something greater. The fast of Yom Kippur was a reminder that there is something more magnificent, a force that takes care of each one of us and guides us. In ancient times, there was an extremely special place called the Holy of Holies. This place was so sacred that only one person could enter it, the high priest, who was like the great spiritual leader of the people. And the most remarkable thing is that he could only enter there once a year, on a very special day. On that day, the priest would carefully prepare himself. He would bathe, wear special clothes, and get ready to do something very important. He would take the blood of a lamb that had been sacrificed and offer it to God on behalf of all the people, asking for forgiveness for their sins. It was as if the high priest was asking God for a new chance for everyone. This day became known as the Day of Atonement, and everyone fasted to participate in this moment, as if they wanted to unite with what the priest was doing. Now, let's move forward in time, to the moment when Jesus begins to teach about fasting. He spoke to his disciples about how they should fast, and he did so in a different way. He explained that fasting wasn't something to be shown to others. Some people would make sad faces so that everyone would know they were fasting, but Jesus said that they had already received their reward, which was the attention of other people. He taught that true fasting should be done in secret, only between you and God. Jesus explained it very clearly: when you fast, groom yourself as usual, wash your face, and go about your day as you always do. Fasting is something special between you and your Father in heaven, and He, who sees what is done in secret, will reward you. So, when you decide to give up something you enjoy, or something important, to draw closer to God, it catches His attention in a special way. But what Jesus reminded us is that fasting is not meant to impress others, but to show sincerity to God, with an open and true heart. Imagine Jesus sitting with his disciples, teaching an important lesson. He starts by talking about something many people already practiced at that time, fasting. But Jesus wanted them to understand fasting in a different way. When you fast, he said, don't do it so that everyone knows. Jesus was saying that fasting wasn't meant to draw attention. Instead, he showed that fasting was something special, a very true and powerful spiritual practice, but one that should be done with the heart in the right place. He explained that fasting is like taking a break from something the body really desires, like food, to focus on something deeper, the relationship with God. Instead of spending that time eating, the person could use it to pray, reflect, and silently ask for God's help. It was a secret moment, just between the person and God. But Jesus gave an important warning: if you are fasting only so that others see you and say how spiritual you are, then that's all you will get, their attention. The true value of fasting, Jesus taught, lies in the connection with God, not in showing it to others. In this way, he showed that fasting is a silent conversation with God, a choice that comes from the heart, without needing applause or praise. Fasting, for those who have never done it before, it might seem a little intimidating. After all, we are so used to eating 3 times a day that the idea of skipping a meal seems challenging. You might wonder, will I feel really hungry? Will it hurt? Or even, will I be able to make it to the end? These doubts are normal, but there's one more thing that might concern you: what others will think. What if my friends find out I'm fasting? Will they think it's strange? Will they treat me differently? But here's the simple truth: fasting is not about impressing anyone. It's not about showing others that you're more spiritual or dedicated. Jesus taught this very clearly. He said that when we fast, we shouldn't put on sad faces or tell everyone what we're doing. Instead, he encouraged us to carry on with our routine as usual, to go about our day naturally. It's as if Jesus was saying, fasting is between you and God, and that's what matters. It doesn't need to be something everyone sees or talks about. God sees what you do in secret, and he will reward you for it in a special way. In the end, fasting is about your devotion, not about what others think. And that's what makes the experience so valuable and true. Fasting is like a secret between you and God, a silent conversation that happens just between the two of you. Sometimes, you can do it alone, without anyone knowing, and other times, you may fast together with others, like your church or friends, to seek a solution for a problem. In the Bible, for example, Ezra led a fast with 4,000 people, and Esther asked all the Jews to fast and seek God's help. Even today, many Christians participate in special fasts, like the National Day of Prayer and Fasting in May. But what exactly is fasting? Unlike a diet or stopping eating for health reasons, fasting has a spiritual purpose. It's like a special training, a way to strengthen your connection with God. Think of athletes who train to become stronger. Fasting is that type of training, but instead of muscles, it strengthens our spirit. Sometimes people think that Christians don't need discipline, but in reality, we are like soldiers of Christ, and every good soldier needs to practice different skills. Fasting is one of those skills, a tool to make us stronger warriors in prayer. Jesus also warned us about something important. When we pray for others, for our church, or for the salvation of people, we may face difficulties. He warned us that Satan will try to hinder us because fasting is powerful. It's like climbing a mountain, it's not easy. The body and spirit face challenges. But by understanding what we are doing and trusting that the path may be difficult, we know the rewards will be worth it. If you've never fasted before, don't worry about starting small. It may seem like a simple step from the outside, but for you, it's a big leap. God sees that. He cares not only about the fast itself, but also about the attitude of your heart. Fasting is a journey of faith, and every step in this walk, no matter how small it may seem, is something God deeply values. Imagine a scene: a person kneels to propose to someone. What really makes that moment special? It's not how much time the person spends making the proposal, but the love and sincerity behind each word. What touches the heart isn't the time, but the feeling inside. Now, think of fasting in the same way. When you decide to fast, don't worry about how long it should last. What really matters is what's in your heart and how your friendship with God is growing. God knows you better than anyone, and He cares more about the sincerity of your prayer than the amount of time you dedicate to it. Just like in a true friendship, what makes the difference is the honesty and care, not the time you spend together. In fasting, it's the same. What matters is that your heart is truly connected with God. If you've never fasted before, start in a simple way. Try skipping one meal. In the Old Testament, the Jews fasted for an entire day on Yom Kippur, which began at sunset and ended at sunset the next day. This fast was a way to connect with God, and they counted days as written in Genesis 1 verse 5. The evening and the morning were the first day. To start, you can plan your fast when the sun is setting or a little before. This means you will skip dinner that night, then breakfast and lunch the following day. After sunset, you can break the fast with a normal meal, just like the Jews did. If fasting alone seems difficult, how about doing it with someone? While private prayer and fasting are very important, fasting with another person can be a great way to start. If you're fasting to get a specific answer from God, invite someone to pray and fast with you. Jesus reminded us that there is strength when more than one person comes together in prayer. In Matthew 18 verses 18 to 19, He said, "Whatever you bind on earth will be bound in heaven, and whatever you loose on earth will be loosed in heaven." Fasting with someone else can make the journey easier and more powerful. Let me tell you something interesting. Jesus said that when two people come together and agree on something they ask of God, it will be done by Him. It's not just about prayer, but also about the commitment that two people make together. Fasting with someone also brings other benefits. You can talk about your doubts, fears, and even exchange ideas about how the experience is going. If fasting seems difficult, having someone's strength by your side can help you keep going. And when you feel discouraged, a simple phone call can give you the boost you need to continue. And you know what else? Don't forget the celebration. When you achieve something difficult on your own, like climbing a mountain, the victory is yours alone. But when you share the journey with someone, the achievement becomes even more special. Fasting together is like that, a journey of faith that, when shared, becomes even more rewarding. One of the advantages of fasting with someone is that it helps you stay committed. You're less tempted to snack or break the fast when you know your friend is also fasting. Have you ever gone for a walk or run with a friend? If so, you know how having someone by your side can motivate you to keep going, even when it gets tough. If you're really strong, you might not need help, but if you're not, fasting with a partner can be very helpful. Another important thing is to fast with a purpose. Before you start, think carefully and figure out why you want to fast. There are many reasons to fast, and you may already have one in mind. Remember the story of young David when he faced Goliath? No one wanted to fight the giant, and every soldier had a different excuse to avoid the battle. But David wasn't intimidated because he had a strong reason to face that giant. Fasting isn't just about praying and going without food. We fast for a reason. So, ask yourself, are you willing to fast and give up some things you enjoy? Make a list of your reasons and write them down. When you only keep it in your head, it can get a little confusing or vague. Writing it down helps clarify why you're fasting and keeps you focused on your journey of faith. Don't fast just to see how far you can go, like, I'll try until I feel hungry. Some people say this and give up at the first sign of discomfort. Instead, make a firm decision to fast for a whole day, no matter what happens. If you're thinking of fasting to draw closer to God, commit yourself fully. Do it with God's help and grace. Let's take a quick pause to encourage you to share. What was the most challenging or transformative moment you experienced during a fasting period? There are different types of fasting. One of them is an absolute fast, where you neither eat nor drink anything. Paul did this type of fast for 3 days after seeing Jesus on the road to Damascus when he was blinded. In Acts 9 verse 9, it says he didn't eat or drink anything for 3 days. But if this is your first fast, don't start with an absolute fast. This type of fast is for moments when a person is facing something very serious, like a major problem or a spiritual battle. Another type is a normal fast, where you don't eat solid foods but can drink liquids. This type of fast is the most common in the Bible. For example, in Luke 4 verse 2, it says that Jesus ate nothing for 40 days and became hungry, but it doesn't mention whether he drank water or not. So, remember, plan your fast, write down your reasons, and go with determination, knowing that God will help you on this journey. People often choose what they can drink. Many decide to cut out drinks like sodas and sugary juices, which is similar to what the Old Testament called afflicting oneself during fasting, as mentioned in Isaiah 58 verse 3. There is also the partial fast. In this type of fast, you eliminate certain foods or drinks, but not everything. A good example of this is Daniel's fast. He didn't want to eat the food served to the king, and in Daniel 1 verse 12, he asked to be tested for 10 days, eating only vegetables and drinking water. This fast didn't harm Daniel or his friends, and they became even stronger. At another time, Daniel did another partial fast, avoiding tasty foods, meat, and wine, as he explains in Daniel 10 verse 3. Daniel's fast shows us that he avoided three main things. Tasty foods, like desserts, imagine cutting out cakes and sweets. Meat, meaning he followed a meatless diet. Wine, or any drink that brought pleasure. Another famous example is the fast of John Wesley, the founder of the Methodist movement. He used to fast for 10 days before major meetings, eating only whole grain bread and drinking water. Wesley believed that this fast helped him spiritually prepare to influence ministries. He and his preachers would come out of these meetings full of determination to make a difference in the world, which helped create one of the largest Protestant denominations in the world. So, whether it's a partial fast, like Daniel's, or a more rigorous fast, like Wesley's, the important thing is that these choices help people focus more on God and what He wants to do through them. When John Wesley fasted and prayed, he demonstrated great dedication to God, and God honored that. Fasting is a special practice, but not all types of fasting are done for the same purpose. For example, there's the rotating fast, which isn't very common among Christians because it's mostly used for medical purposes. This type of fast helps determine the body's reaction to certain foods. A person stops eating everything for a day, and over the next days, they reintroduce one food group at a time to see if any of them is causing issues, like allergies. Now, if you're thinking of fasting, it's important to choose the type of fast that works best for you. There are a few things you should consider before you start. First, if this is your first fast, start slowly. Try fasting for an entire day, like on Yom Kippur, when the Jews fasted for 1 day. If you want to fast for a longer period to address a serious issue, it may be better to fast 1 day a week for 3 weeks, rather than starting with 3 consecutive days. Remember, fasting is a new journey, and you're learning something new, both for your body and your heart. Second, for your first fast, try the normal fast, where you don't eat any solid food but can drink liquids for 1 day. This will help your body adjust for future fasts. Third, match the type of fast to the reason. For example, if it's a routine prayer, like for an important decision, a normal fast is sufficient. But if it's something more serious, like a major problem, you might choose a more rigorous fast. Fourth, choose a fast that makes you feel comfortable. It's not meant to make you feel bad or guilty. Fasting is a way to draw closer to God, so it's important that you feel good about your decision. Fifth, consider the timing. Think about the days you have available. Some days may be more difficult to fast, like when there are special events such as Thanksgiving, Christmas, or weddings. In those moments, it may be better to choose another day to fast. With these tips, you can choose the fast that best suits you and prepare for this special journey. Never start by fasting for a long time, because you still don't know how your body will react or how you will feel emotionally. Starting with a 1-day fast is easier to manage and understand. Any fast you choose as your first step is like taking a leap of faith. God sees the effort that comes from your heart and will reward you for it. Here's a simple prayer for you. May God give us wisdom to understand the purpose of fasting and its spiritual benefits. Always remembering that it's not just the act of not eating that brings us closer to Him, but the sincerity of our hearts and the desire to connect more with Him through prayer. May our fasting not be to impress others, but to touch the heart of God, who sees everything in secret and rewards us openly. We thank the Lord for the strength and discipline that fasting teaches us, showing that we should depend more on Him and less on ourselves. Amen. If this content was helpful to you, stay close and follow the next messages. Together, we can learn and grow more and more. Subscribe to the channel, leave your like, and thank you for being here, and may God bless you.